So today I'm going to update you guys on the 8860F. So about a year, a little over ago, I was really good at updating every tank, doing a monthly update on every tank. But of course now I have so many tanks and so much other stuff going on video-wise that, I've kind of fallen on that, and I'm going to try to definitely keep doing that and do better at that, because one thing I also want to try to do better at is now, obviously, I've always uploaded weekly for since my channel ever started back in 2015, so that's always been consistent. But now that I have so much, tanks and content that I can upload, I definitely want to try to do 2 uploads a week. And that's kind of the goal for this year, is hopefully do that. Because obviously, with all my tanks, I can easily do a monthly update for all my tanks. I mean, that's literally like 8 to 8, 10, 12 videos alone just on tanks. But so really, I could probably upload even more, but just depending on on the how-tos or tips videos and stuff like that I do every month. but but last time you guys saw this tank was about 2 months ago, is when I last updated a video on this, and it was kind of in a rough condition, not too bad, but it was definitely, we're still dealing with hair allergy, and that was mainly it. It was just the hair allergy problem, and a lot of the plants just weren't growing, and I didn't know why. And I did actually figure out the problem, and you can see now. I mean, if you just go back on my channel, the 2 months ago video I made, or you just click on the playlist for this video and see the last video I made on this tank, you can just see a big difference. And especially if you guys watch that video, you'll see how different this tank already looks and how much better it is. And so yeah, I'm really happy about that. And basically what the problem was, we always thought it was the light, which that was kind of part of it. I did run this tank at like 75% on this ONF in the beginning, and then I slowly ramped it down to basically 30, and now it runs at 35 or 40 now, just a little bit higher. And I may actually still rank it up a little bit, and just kind of play with it, except now that it's kind of better, and just see like the highest I can get away with. But I think it's been doing pretty good now, so we'll just see how it goes. But I definitely probably will try to ramp it up just a little bit more now that we got things fixed. But basically what the problem was really wasn't the light. That definitely contributed to like some of the outbreaks. That definitely you know, fueled that growth a little bit more. But basically what was going on was, obviously none of the plants were growing, and because that was the CO2. So obviously without the plants growing, they're not uptaking algae pores and stuff like that. And so that's why we were just struggling, keeping that algae away. And basically with the CO2, so what's kind of funny is I've obviously escaped this tank 3 times now. It's been changed. This the third escape that this tank has seen, because I just wanted to get it right and something that I actually liked, because obviously this will be long term because of the shrimp that I'm going to be putting in there. So it's not something I can really just easily change in the future once I have the shrimp that I want in here. And so now that I found an escape that I pretty much like, and all these escapes, every escape I've done with this tank has been kind of struggling. I mean, no escape that I did in this tank was ever really done well. And the actual reason was, and this sounds crazy, but this was actually what happened, was the check valve in the beginning when I first set up this tank. I actually broke this check valve. Not It still worked, but I actually it kind of cracked it a little bit in the area where the tubing goes on, because I used that pressure tubing, and I kind of broke it a little bit. And I didn't think that would cause anything, but I think what really happened was it was leaking. And so, well, it was leaking, because the way I know that was the paintball regulator. I would have to dose so much CO2 just to get CO2 to go into this tank, and even then, I don't think it was getting the amount it needed. And I just don't know, like, CO2 leaking like that, if that had a reaction with the aquarium. I have no clue, on that type of stuff, on how that reacts. But what I do know is that CO2 wasn't getting enough, and that's why the plants, like the Cuba, for example, was just not growing. And of course, Cuba is a very CO2 heavy plant that needs it. And so when I thought the Cuba was a problem, I switched to Monte Carlo, and you can see now the Monte Carlo is growing. But I think now the Cuba would have been growing by now if that was the case, which kind of sucks, because I did want Cuba in this tank. But at the end of the day, the Monte Carlo is fine. It's just the Cuba looks visually nicer. It just gives more depth to the tank with that smaller leaf. But again, this is not like no contest tank at the end of the day. I mean, it definitely can be in the future, if I just wanted a nice little tank to submit to one of the smaller contests or something. But or for magazines and stuff like that, do a little stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's not like I said, a contest tank. But it'll still look really nice with the Monte Carlo. I do need to actually eventually start trimming it, because it is, now it's actually like growing like crazy. So it's not really thick yet, but I definitely, with so much light, it's actually staying really compact, which is nice. It's really staying low, but I need to definitely, kind of cleaned up a little bit and get it, where I start confining it a little bit better. The S ribbons are coming in, which is super nice. And I do need to get some trim now that this tank is doing fine. I do need to get some more S ribbons. I'll probably take some trimmings off another tank, and plant some back here like we originally had and planned, and basically start to. The immersion growth is coming in. I've trimmed that like 2 or 3 times. So that's why it's pretty low right now. But Luigia Super Red and then Bacopa is what I have back there. But I might even try to do some extra ribbons. I just do a big mixture of stuff back there and just make it look pretty cool. They're all eventually will flower. So I think that'll look pretty neat for sure. But yeah, that was crazy that the CO2. Once I replaced that check valve, literally the day since I did that, this tank is done so good. So, but yeah, I was gonna probably like replace the sand, but honestly, ever since the algae has been gone, it actually looks pretty good. So I'm not actually worried about it. But yeah, I did actually add some Hydrophila sharp leaf, which is kind of a mid ground. It doesn't get very tall at all. It's more of a carpet, honestly, and it just gets pretty red. I've never tested it under super highlighting, but I know it definitely gets like a light red hue. So I put some right in there just to get some color. And then yeah, all the Monte Carlo that I have on the rocks, basically stuff that all vine down, and I don't know. I mean, I planned that right there to where I have 2 separate islands, just kind of separates the scape. But I mean, I don't know, that because I planted the Hydrophil right there, so that basically just like splits that up now. But honestly, I think I'm fine with that. I mean, it doesn't really affect me that much. I think it's fine. But I mean, at the end of the day, if we need to, we can always do something different if we want to, but we'll just see how that looks. But then the Ricardia is actually kind of growing in some areas where we did originally plant them, and then got some Cryptoparva in some spots too. They're actually doing pretty well now. It actually looks pretty sick with how dark it is. I think that's my new favorite little detail piece, because usually dwarf hair grass is what I use for details around plants, but I've quickly just kind of started disliking the hair grass just because of how crazy it does end up growing once it takes off, and just because of a headache to pull up and stuff like that. The Cryptoparva just kind of stays to itself, and I always like to have little details around the edges of rocks like that, little shrubs almost. So I think that works out pretty well. But yeah, other than that, I think I will plant some UG. I have some UG. I don't know, maybe I even have some chai that, because obviously being this Icelandic lava stone, you can see how dark it is. It actually stays pretty moist, so I can actually plant some stuff on that rock itself, and it actually do pretty good. So we'll just see. Also, I'm just gonna keep working with this tank now that it's doing better. I'm actually motivated to actually do some stuff with it now and actually like really do some cool stuff. But yeah, I mean, let me know what you guys think. I don't want to make a real long video, but just want to come back to you guys and show you guys how this is doing. Again, I know I've been kind of lacking on some of the things on this video, but I guess I didn't talk about the livestock at all. This is temporary. I just wanted to put some here, but these are actually dwarf neon rainbows. They will get like 2.5 inches over time, so these won't be permanent, but they're so small right now that they're actually kind of sick in here. So I definitely have those in there, and then I have some autosynclus, and I think I have models in here, but I don't see. I haven't seen any in such a long time. But I have Cleton snails in here as well as neorites, so that's kind of the stock there. But then I'm dosing Duosuki liquid for the fertilizer. I do that for both the shallows. It's been working great, so I've been continuing that, and that's probably what I'll stick with since it's been working. So it's just an all-in-one, and it's been doing the job. So I'm thinking I'm gonna keep up doing that. But yeah, other than that, if you guys have any questions, obviously on Instagram it's JJ Aquariums, all in the descriptions of my YouTube channel, so you guys can check that out. I do a lot of more active posts on there, to where you guys see more up to date than you do YouTube. Obviously YouTube, you guys only see some tanks every so often, so definitely check me out on there. If you have questions, you can definitely message me. But other than that, I'll see you guys on the next one.